Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ashish and today I want to have a look at the 6th generation iPad mini, and this is in the Starlight color, and deliveries have started in India since the past 2 or 3 days. So I've managed to get my hands on a 64 GB variant. So without further ado, let's get into the unboxing. So in interest of the environment, there is no plastic packaging on the outside. Instead, we have these little green tabs that we can pull, and that will release the box. So we put the box down and we can take off the box like so. Inside we have the small tiny little iPad mini. Let's put that aside for a second, check what else is in the box. And you've got, as usual, a quick start guide right here. So it gives you the position of the top button with the touch ID, the volume buttons, and the various gestures that you need to get started quickly. Besides that, you have some regulatory information here and a couple of Apple stickers. You also surprisingly still get a USB Type-C charger in here in the box itself. It's a surprising addition here and omission as usual from last year from the iPhones. And this is a 20-watt charger for which you have to pay separately if you buy a new iPhone. You also get the Type-C to Type-C USB cable, and the inclusion of this Type-C charger here and its omission on the iPhone 12 and 13 families, some of which cost probably twice or thrice as much as this iPad mini, shows that there is a lot of inconsistency in the Apple thought process, and the reasons are more to do with economics rather than the environment. So we'll keep that aside for a second and reveal the Starlight iPad mini for the first time. There you go. It's in a kind of parchment paper like cover, which we can keep aside now. And here we are. That's the first look at the iPad mini in the Starlight color. It's a lightweight small tablet and really well executed. It's been updated to the latest design, which it hadn't been since probably 2012, since it was introduced. So this is the first major redesign of the iPad mini, and it really brings it in line with the other iPad models except the base model iPad. And a lot of people were actually waiting for this product more than the iPhone itself at this event. So that says something about how niche and how popular this product is with certain individuals. So let's power it on. Okay, there's the Apple logo. Now handily, I've also got the latest M1 iPad Pro 11-inch, so you can see the size difference between them. As you can see, the mini is a lot more handy than the 11-inch, although the 11-inch iPad Pro itself isn't a behemoth like the 12.9-inch. So you have great choices now, and you can also see how the Starlight color, which is like a combination of gold and silver, compares to the pure silver of the iPad Pro. Okay, so a basic setup now. So we'll choose the language. Region is in India, and the iPad has come with 97% charge from the factory. So it's asking me to bring my current iPhone or iPad near this iPad, and immediately there's a pop-up to set up the new iPad using my existing iPad. So these days, setting up any iOS or iPadOS device is a breeze. You just bring them close together, it copies all your settings, and then you can actually choose what apps to restore or not to restore. So it's saying it may take a few minutes to activate your iPad, and handily, again, as part of all the settings transfer, your Wi-Fi settings, everything gets copied onto the iPad. Now it's asking me to actually set up Touch ID. So I will do that now. And you obviously want to get as many angles as possible with your finger. So since this is the 64 GB variant of the iPad mini, I'm not going to be copying over my other data from this iPad, so I will set it up as a new iPad instead. Now, just to give you some more perspective on the size, this is the iPad mini next to the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So as you can see, it is a much bigger device, so it's not as though the phone can directly replace it. You get this good 8.3-inch screen, which is a lot larger than even the 6.7-inch screen on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Now, in terms of the screen quality itself, it is bright enough. It is a good screen to be on an iPad, especially one that is not a Pro model, but it is not the highest end screen that Apple produces. I mean, if we compare these two screens right here, ProMotion and with OLED, this is much better than the screen on the iPad mini. But having said that, it's not as though the screen on the iPad mini is lacking in many ways. So you will still enjoy using this. So there you go, that's the iPad mini now sandwiched between the iPad Pro 11-inch and the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So as you can see, different form factors. It's pretty much the same amount of information if you see. There is a color difference. This is towards the cooler hues. Let's see if True Tone is on. True Tone is on here, and True Tone is on here as well. So obviously, this being an Apple page, it is quite well optimized for each device, but you can see that you can probably see almost the same amount of information on all three screens. A little bit maybe more scrolling is needed on the iPhone and the iPad mini, but that's just to give you an idea. Now the good news is that the Apple Pencil works as it should, and I wasn't able to notice too much of a difference between the 60Hz and the 120Hz screens. So it works as you would expect, unless you're comparing them side by side, where you may notice the extra latency. Physically, the volume buttons have been moved to the top, and they cleverly change orientation depending on how you're holding the iPad, and you have the big Touch ID power button borrowed from the iPad Air. You also have stereo speakers on both sides, so you've got two speaker grills on the top and two at the bottom. Besides that, on the top you have the connector for the charging of the Apple Pencil, but not much else. And it's completely plain with the volume buttons now moved away at the bottom, so you can use the folio cases and still have access to the volume buttons whilst being able to use and charge the Apple Pencil. Now, one of the problems that early adopters will face will be the lack of optimization of certain popular apps like Netflix and Prime Video. So you still have the old aspect ratio of the iPad mini being recognized by these apps, and as a result you have a letterboxing all around the frame, so there is wasted space. It's really annoying when you play a full screen video, and even choosing the full screen option or zooming in with your fingers, it just zooms into the picture but still leaves a black border all around the picture. So hopefully this will get fixed soon, because it is really annoying at the moment. So that was a quick look at the iPad mini 6th generation 2021, and as I go through using this device over the next few days, I will report back on how it feels and behaves and what it represents as a purchase if you're planning to change over from one of the older iPad minis or perhaps downsize from one of the bigger iPads. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.